Hey comrades, it's that time of year again. They have a new That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, which is one of my favorite current animes at least. It's so good. And they have a new release. It's Visions of Coleus, I think. And in this, we're going back in time a little bit. So our boy Rimuru is not a demon lord right now. He's still working at the school teaching the orphans that what's her name? It's been a while. Sayori, I think, was raising. Anyway, while he's there, it's about to become summer break, so he's going to go back to Tempest to like do what he's got to do. But then the guildmaster guy, who's also a guy from another world, kind of convinces him to go check on this political issue in Corelia. So what's happening is the king died, and he's got two sons. One who's like the rightful heir, but he's causing like some issues with like the guild there and stuff, where the guilds like declared their independence from like the main guilds, which, you know, might be okay or might not. But then, excuse me, there's another son who's like a bastard son, and he's not a bastard. Yeah, he's a bastard son. That's how that works. Because his mom's like the concubine. And they might back him instead. I don't know. So then the guy who's the noble guy, I can't remember his name either, but Rimuru like saved his sister a while ago. He writes a letter of introduction to a Marquis, who the Marquis is also this guy's sister. And then the guildmaster's like, all right, cool, we're going to send you with an A-class adventurer. He's going to infiltrate one organization, you'll infiltrate the other organization, and then you guys can spy and give us information. We'll make a decision on who we want to back in like the succession crisis. So Rimuru meets Paulo. Paulo's a real doofus. He's strong, but he's an idiot. And he almost goes blind because he fights like an acid monster after Rimuru tells him not to. But Rimuru cures him, gives him a staff so he doesn't have to just punch things. And then they proceed on their way. Once they get there, Paulo gets sent off. And, I can't remember the guy's name. The Shadow Ninja guy, Ogre, he goes and follows him to kind of spy on him. Meanwhile, Rimuru hangs out with the Marquis and her husband. Or no, the Marquis is the husband. The Marquis and his wife, who's the sister of the guy from the school. Sorry, it's been a while since I watched it. I don't remember all the names. Anyway, so they let them know that the Marquis like backs one of the princes. I think he backs the bastard prince, if I remember correctly. It's a lot of names were thrown at me in like the 24 minutes. So this Vision of the Corelis is like a 3-parter. So it's like an OVA 3-part. It's not a movie, but it's like a short mini-series, if you will. So this is all in part 1. And I'll do the next 2 parts, and they'll be attached to this video, so hopefully I can make it a little more seamless. Anyway, so, but then the Marquis' wife is like, oh, hey, maybe you can help the princess. She's like ill, and so Rimuru goes and finds out that she's just like not eating, and also she's blind. And there's like a mean doctor who's not helping, and he's very vivacious as he tries to like pick up on the Marquis' wife. Anyway, and she shuts him down, and he gets super, mad about that. So he goes in there. The great sage can't find anything wrong with her except she's just not eating. And so they produce some of this honey, and I'm trying to remember where the honey came from. I like vaguely remember it. It's been a minute. But the special honey, and then she drinks it, or she drinks some of it with her tea, which is going to give her like more nutrients, which is going to help with the malnutrition. But also, she stops being blind, and then everyone's like crying and happy, and that's how the first episode wraps up. All right, so the second episode picks up, and we find out some very interesting stuff. So the first thing is that the older prince, he finds out that his sister's healed, and he also finds out about some merchant that he was waiting to hear about. After that, he goes and approaches the Marquis who's having dinner with Rimuru, and when he gets there, he tells them that his brother's a vampire, and that he's been corrupted by Gustav, the doctor, and that they've been charmed. And then the guy who used to be the master of the prince, the Marquis, that is, he uses some magic and cures his charm, and he's like, you're right! And then he cures his wife as well. And Rimuru is just kind of paying attention to listening to all this stuff. And then they join forces with him, and the older prince is thinking that the younger prince is poisoning the sister. He doesn't know why, but maybe to get to him, and that's part of the reason like all this stuff's going on. And then the king gets brought up, and no one's seen the king in a while, and there's some like issues there. It seems like there might be some like Worm Tongue style issues from like Lord of the Rings, right? Where Worm Tongue was like whispering dark secrets into the king of Rohan, I want to say, and that caused problems with his ability to function. The king might be that way with the king, or the king might just be a bad guy in this whole picture of things. Anyway, Rimuru uses his like slime body double that he was. Oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the first episode, we see this lady, and she's got like this other lady in like a tube, and she's like says some cryptic shit. And then in this episode, she shows up again, and she's like, "Oh, cryptic more shit," and that's it. Anyway, so so Rimuru is in there with the princess, and they have a conversation, and she can like see auras, so she knows that he's like isekai in there. But she also states that her brothers are. Oh, and then Rimuru sees the prince come in, and he's got like a weird aura, the younger prince. But the princess is like, no, he's good too. He's just being manipulated with a curse. And then the doctor comes in, and he curses her as well. And we also find out that the king might actually be the one who's guilty at this point, which I kind of mentioned before. And that him and Gustav have been like, they've been working together. So the younger prince is also being manipulated. We don't get too much in. He just kind of says some stuff. And he thinks the older prince is the one who's causing the illness for the sister. And then they charge, Gustav gets the king to charge Rimuru with poisoning the daughter, the princess. And they arrest one of his like body doubles. Meanwhile, he transforms into like a pretend thief and goes and kidnaps the princess to keep her safe, obviously. And he takes off. Meanwhile, I caught their names. Oh, shoot. The ogre prince, he shows up, and then him and the thief, the assassin ogre, they go and they just have a fun little fight with the older prince and the marquis, and they kind of beat them. And there's some banter and some back and forth of that, and that's, as they're kind of fighting, that's when Rimuru, who's pretending to be this other guy, thief, with the princess, shows up and is like, "Guys, I'm back!" And that's the end of the second episode. So we'll see how things kind of wrap up. But yeah, so far, really good. This anime continues to maintain such an excellent degree that I have no interest in reading the manga or light novels, so I'm going to continue not to. So the final part of the Coleus trilogy here wraps up with mostly fighting. We find out that the fighting prince, his like servant, or his not servant, his subordinate, is actually an archdemon who was working with Gustav to have the children fight each other, right? And so he comes down, and then Gustav comes, and he's like, "Well, we're supposed to be quiet about this, but we're just trying to use the princess's corporeal form to summon our master, this demon lord Violet lady. And then, so we need to protect the princess." So he grabs the princess, creates like a dome for them to fight in, and then the other archdemon, looks like he tries to kill the younger prince, who's the heir prince, but then the fighting prince like gets in the way, and he's about to die, but then of course Rimuru just saves him immediately. And then Rimuru, Benimaru, and I can't remember his name, that ninja guy, they beat the shit out of him. And then Gustav gets concerned, and so he absorbs the power of all the negative emotions in like the town, plus the other archfiend, and becomes super powerful. But then our boy Palermo or whatever, he like is like, "Oh, I'm so screwed, what am I gonna do?" And he's like, "I got that potion." So he uses the potion that Rimuru gave him in the first episode, grabs the princess and runs away. But then Gustav chases after him and hits him pretty good, and is like, "Ah!" And then the lady that's been kind of hiding shows up, and she's a vampire and also a demon lord, and she's got different colored eyes. She's like, she beats the crap out of him, and then he uses all the power and wakens up his demon lord, which is this Violet lady. And we find out that the vampire lady is named Luminous, and they know each other, and then they fight for a little bit, and then Violet's like, "I'm done, that was fun." And then Gustav's like, "Well, what are you doing, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "You failed me," and she kills him and destroys him completely. And then she's like, "All right, adios," and then she just like leaves the body of the princess and like nopes out. Meanwhile, the vampire lady is like, "All right, well, I want to cover this up." So she she like heals the Palermo guy and hypnotizes him into thinking he killed Gustav by himself. And then she like nopes out. She's like, "All right, I've done my due diligence. Time to leave." So then she goes. And so then, the dudes get through the barrier, and they come over, and they're like, "Did you do this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Is this true?" So like the great sage inside Rimuru. And she's like, "It could be true." When two archfiends like combine their souls or whatever, it causes like instability. So maybe if you hit him like right at the right time. And Rimuru's like, I doubt it, but whatever. It's no big deal. And so then everyone's happy and everyone's well. And then Rimuru, who's pretending to be like the Phantom Thief, Benimaru and the other guy, they peace out. And Rimuru goes back into like the prison body that he created. And then the princess kind of they trick him and figure out that it's all the same guy doing the same thing. The princess ends up being good. They have like a council before Rimuru leaves, and they like call him out on being the Rimuru Tempest, the head of Tempest, and everyone has a good laugh about that. And then Rimuru heads back to the guild, and the guy's like, "Come on, it's still summer break. I need you to do some more stuff for me." And he's like, "No, I refuse." And then like time passes, and we're back at the kingdom, and everyone's wearing their royal garbs and stuff. And one of them's like, "Oh, I heard there's a new demon lord named Rimuru Tempest." Like, "Oh, good for him. He did his demon lord thing." So, now we bridge back to like the current era, I guess. And the princess is like, "Oh, I was hoping to marry him." And then the Palermo guy, he's like the chief. He's like the chief guard of the city, or the chief warrior or whatever. Because the one prince becomes king, and then the other prince becomes the chief of defense, like the minister of defense, and then Palermo like leads the warriors or whatever. Anyway, you find out that Rimuru commented he's very good and very strong, and he does a really good job. But he's still concerned because he feels like he owes Rimuru money because he lent him money that one time. So fun stuff. All right, and that's like the end of the episode. It's like, oh, that was fun. That was a cute little thing that occurred. But then there's an after credit scene that I found by accident because normally I don't even look, but for some reason I feel like I should. And we see this other lady who's like in the desert, and she's like something Violet. And then there's another lady with two thralls sitting on a throne drinking wine, and she's like, "Violet has failed us again." And then we see Violet, and she's in a room, and you see Benny Morrow and the dragon lady who's like the ninja, and they're talking to each other. I think that's her at least. It looks like it. And she's like, "Another seed is about to come forth." So okay. And the last shot is so they suspect that the archfiends killed, or the archdemons killed the king, and he's been dead for a while, which is good because they found some writings, and he had like summoned the archfiends because he was going to use the king summon the archdemons because he was going to use them to like have his sons fight, and then whoever won, he was going to like possess their body so he could live forever because he was having like troubles just giving up life, I guess, because he was getting old. So they would have to have executed him anyway. So that got taken care of off screen. But then we find out in the after credits, that it was actually the vampire lady came and killed him for causing problems in her kingdom. And then we see her standing in front of like the tube with like a woman in it, saying like some weird cryptic shit. And you're like, oh, okay. And that is the end. I enjoyed it. I enjoy everything attached to the series, even that weird like slice of life thing they had going on, like the side story where it's just like them farming and shit. Because the characters are delightful, and it's written it's so lighthearted and enjoyable, and just like it's like comfort food. It's just like, this is nice. It's like eating some delicious pasta and meatballs and just relaxing, being like, my vineyard. Anyway, if you like the rest of the slime stuff, this is excellent. I mean, it just continues to be quality stuff, and so hopefully they keep making it. And catch y'all later.